What can we expect next from DJI? Got that coming up next. Bill the Drone Reviewer here. If you like the content of this video or anything on my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future content. With that, let's begin. The other night, I hosted Rotor Talk Live and was joined by Mr. Marcus Crawford and Mr. Ron Brun. We spent the better part of the evening discussing what can we expect next from DJI. This also included what DJI has come out with this year, and we speculated what DJI could possibly come out with the rest of this year and early into next. So without any further ado, let's roll that clip in its entirety. What can we expect next from DJI? And one of the first things I want to do is I want to look a little bit on Igor's Twitter page just to show you guys where things are, because that's where we've been getting a lot of this information, almost all of this.
Yeah, I mean, I can answer right away that the Matrice 3D with the docking thing, yeah.
With the dock, and there's a picture of the docking station there. Yeah. There's some more.
It's considered a compact docking station.
Yeah, it's a compact dock. It looks about the size, I'm going to say, almost like a little bit of a bigger printer, Ron.
Yeah.
Is kind of what it looks like. But
one printers that used to do everything. Remember the ones that faxed and copied and did a whole bunch of functions. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is what we have right now. This is what we know about right now. So there's not really a whole lot more to go over. But I actually was doing a mental note here.
Okay.
And I wrote these down before the show. And fill in the blanks. Now I'm going by consumer releases, and I'm going to include the Inspire 3 as a consumer drone, not an enterprise level.
It's not really an enterprise. It's more for like filmmakers and stuff like that. So
right.
Not I'm going to technically an enterprise. Yeah.
I'm going to consider it a consumer one. The Inspire 3, the Action 4, the Mavic 3 Pro, the Air 3, the Mini 4 Pro, and the Pocket 3. That's what we
had. And the DJI Mini 2 SE.
The Mini
came out early in the year, like I'm going to say maybe in the March time frame.
Okay. I'm going to add that onto this list, okay?
Yeah.
All right. So it begs the question, and this is what, this was one thing that I had been mulling over and thinking about, all right? With all this, Ron, okay, we've got a new action cam. We've got a new Pocket 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new drones, okay? Is there anything left for 2023?
Well, I know where you're going, Bill, but I'm gonna put something else in first. Will we see an OM7 this year, or will that be next? Will they skip for the first time ever? And I'm not sure about that, but in the first time in recent memory, will they skip releasing Pocket Osmo mobile phone gimbal? It's been years since they haven't released one.
Yeah, that's a good question, and actually,
it usually comes out in middle of September, early to mid September, so it's already a good deal late.
Yeah, that would be a good deal late, but it actually, with the list of things that I've already gone over, and you're adding the Mini 2 SE, okay, it would be kind of a perfect item to release, because for several reasons. It's part of the camera, if you want to call the camera type releases, okay, and it would be a third camera type release this year, which would be good, and it would kind of round out their cycle in their year with this. Because quite frankly, I'm gonna say this, for me, for 2023, okay, I don't see another drone coming out. I really don't.
Well, Bill, I'm going to stop you for a second there.
Okay.
How about DJI hasn't upgraded the original FPV drone since it came out, and I believe the thing will be 3 years old sometime early next year. And of course, the Avata is also sitting on a year and a half. Oh. Speaking of DJI, here's the DJI expert we need to talk to. Welcome in, Marcus.
What's going on in here, guys?
Well, I don't know, man.
Bill's just hypothesizing, or if DJI has anything left in the coffers to release before the end of the year.
I would be willing to bet they got something going on. We keep hearing rumors about another version of the Avata, like I'm just guessing. I don't know anything. I want to put that out there, but I'd be willing to bet a Cinewhoop size Avata might be in the.
Could you mean a 250-gram FPV drone?
Right.
Oh, that could be a good seller for the holidays, Bill.
It would.
It could. Now, Ron had just talked about an Osmo Mobile 7.
I threw in the Osmo Mobile 7. It's already kind of late. It's already over a month late. Or will they skip that this year, Marcus?
That's a great point, Ron, because obviously we just got the Pocket 3, which it's a similar product.
Thing. Yeah.
It's in the sense that you can do the same thing with it
in a much bigger form factor.
Yeah, in a bigger form factor, right. So
and you have to bring your like $1,500 smartphone to the game also at the party.
The other thing is I never feel the need to upgrade. I'm still on the OM4, Ron, and I use it and I enjoy it, and I'm sure, like you have the OM6, I'm sure there's a lot of features on there that I would probably enjoy. If they came out with an OM7, yeah, I'd probably jump on it. Right, it's about time to update a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Of course, Marcus, you could be a little bit like the Mini, say the Mini 2 and Mini 3 owners. You just feel the new one's an incremental upgrade, and you take a pass.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how that works. Boy, I need to shut off my Ring doorbell. It's obviously the day.
Bill, he's got a lot of drones coming to the front door right now.
Yeah, I mean, the time of the day, right? It's they're starting to show up at the front door. But at any rate, Ron, more than likely though, if I really was going to pull the trigger on something, it'd be what Bill, the drone reviewer, did, and that probably grabbed that Pocket 3.
Pocket 3 instead. Bill, I'm going to go back to you for a second. If you guys think the Avata or Avata Mini or something could possibly come in near future, but what's happening with the DJI FPV drone? Is that kind of like just a dead drone now? Or is that just are they not going to would it be right to update the Avata before the FPV drone?
You want me to go, or Bill? You got an answer?
Go, Marcus. Go.
Listen. I think that FPV drone probably has a consistent market. In other words, there's people that like that drone because of the speed and because of some of the aerobatics and things that you could do with that. The Avata, it's not in their bailiwick. The only thing that they could do, Ron, I suppose, would be to update the camera, put a little bit better camera on it. But also maybe the people that are flying it probably don't care, because if they really want good video, they stick a
GoPros and cameras like that.
There's all those kits, and it's so easy to do now. You just put it on there. Yeah, that's an interesting thing, and it's still in their market, so clearly they must still be selling well.
You even see DJI heavily discounted, but they don't discontinue. It's kind of an odd thing that it's kind of the forgotten drone, especially if they would upgrade the Avata before upgrading the older drone.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point. Yeah,
you do bring up a real good point with that, Ron. And it kind of came out when it came out with a lot of fanfare when it first premiered, but the discounts lately have been really steep on it, and almost like to the point that it led you to believe something was knocking on the door. Okay. And it ends up, it wasn't that, it was, it was a Cinewhoop. Okay. Type of drone. All right. And my inkling and my inclination tells me that is the direction I think DJI is probably going to head, because they're really popular. They're very easy they're relatively easy to fly from what I understand. And they've been very popular. They've sold really well. So I kind of think Marcus has a real good point. I think it's going to be a Cinewhoop type drone.
Under 250 grand Mini.
Yeah,
And
under
one
250
last
grand.
thing on the FPV drone before we get off. What I found interesting was DJI really went out of their way in the last month or two to make the FPV drone compatible with the newest goggles. You don't usually see
That's very
them
true.
take an older product and go out of their way to make it compatible with new hardware. So I found that interesting.
To the point that Ron might be looking for just the drone only FPV drone. If somebody wants to sell one, Ron would give you $50 for it. I know he would.
Yeah, standing $50. Bill, my reason is because I can put my action cameras on and test them on top of it.
You could. That's true. That's a great
Yeah.
point. Yeah, great point.
And I got the goggles, got the controllers. I wouldn't need anything but a drone and a battery. Well, maybe.
Well, you got a choice of action cams to put on it too.
That's why the testing or whatever. Yeah.
So have you noticed that, Bill? Ron is getting to be the king of the action cameras. You've noticed that too?
Well,
yeah,
just like the recent drones, Marcus, the action cameras have really gotten much better in the past year or two. Really made great improvement. And here's something we always talk about. You know, even the GoPro. You know, as much as people not GoPro, like I did. Marcus saw my video, the side by side testing. The video is right in there. You know, with the Action 4. And I just wish there was like a GoPro like company in drones where DJI had that kind of pressure in the drone market. I mean, like, again, you may like the Action 4 better than the GoPro, but you have to admit they're right there. You know what I mean? It's like,
oh, no
Chevy,
question.
It's like Chevy and Ford. You may have your choice, but one keeps the other going or whatever. Competitive. We don't have a Chevy and Ford in the drone business, but we do in the action camera world.
Yeah, there's a little. There might be a little certain feature, or one might be a little bit better at this than the other one, but for the most part, they're both top of their field. And we just don't have that
competitive price wise,
right? Competitive price wise, we do not have that in the drone world now. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Bill. Go ahead.
No. Continue your thought.
Well, my thought was, you know, I was sitting there kind of dissing DJI, talking about how they needed a competitor. But I just flew this guy today, the Air 3. Man, if they keep giving us products like this, I don't know. How does it get any better? Anyway.
Yeah. And that's the one thing. And that kind of, you perfect segue, Marcus, for what I was going to say. All right. It's like, how do you improve on a drone like the Air 3? Okay. It's really hard for me. And I think you both would agree with me to sit here and say, what can they do better than they did on the Air 3? Because it's like every time I'm reaching for a drone, okay, the first drone I think of, it's the Air 3. I mean, just no question.
Well, I'll use that, Bill. If they had a true competitor, the true competitor would have put out an Air 3 type drone with a 1-inch sensor in it, what people ask for or whatever, and that's how they would compete. Maybe it wouldn't be any better, but somebody would give people what they're asking for, a 1-inch sensor and maybe a variable aperture.
And that's true. I bet it'd be a stacked sensor too.
A stacked 1-inch, yeah, with a variable app. I mean, if they had a real competitor, they could do that stuff, and then DJI would have to step up and do even more. You know, as good as the DJI drones are now, they may be better if there was a GoPro type drone company that was right on their heels.
I want to pile on to what Bill just said. I am getting shots with this latest generation of DJI drones that I never would have got before. Yeah. I was flying this guy out at a park today where they did a new add-on to it, and they had a baseball sculpture in the middle of the park. And I had no problems flying this thing right over the top of that sculpture. I wouldn't have done that. With the kind of obstacle avoidance that we had on earlier drones. And I realized we had them on the Mavic Pro, right? And we had it on the Mavic 2.
But they didn't work at this level.
They just didn't work at this level and give you the confidence that you have. Yeah.
I mean, Marcus, you may be upset with me, but I was even making a video where I was kind of picking my drone of the year so far, and I kind of picked the Air 3 over the Mavic 3 Pro for drone of the year.
I would agree with you in the sense that, listen, if I could only have one drone, it would be the Mavic 3 Pro, just period. I'm just telling you that right now. However, this guy is so hot on the
and I factored in price on that equation too.
Well, that's where exactly where I was going. Not only price, but mass market. There are so many people that, so many more people that have bought this drone.
Size and price both. I factored size and price in that equation.
Yeah, the price point on the Air 3, you compare that to, say, the Mavic 3 Pro, and it's really a no-brainer if you think about it, all right? Now, here's the $60,000 question, and I know our friend Richard posted it in the chat, that they'll come out with an Air 3S with a stacked 1-inch sensor and a variable aperture, okay?
Of course, why do they have to do that, Bill? Since it looks like
I know
Autel stepped out of the game. Why do they have to do that anymore?
Well, this is just I'm throwing this out here. Do you think in 2024 that is something that they would do?
Possibly, but they'd be more prone to do if there was an Autel Light Plus 2 out that had those features.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Not having that competition though, and I think part of this flurry of activity that we've seen, there was something about them having some kind of embargo or penalty from the government or whatever. A lot of people are speculating that's why we've been seeing boom, 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 all these releases coming out. I don't think so. Personally, what I think is, they are geared up. They are going in motion. And I think the big thing, and you really kind of nailed it, Ron, I think Marcus probably talked about it too, they really have no competition anymore, okay? Because, how much longer is Autel going to be around? Seriously.
But what they're good at is competing with themselves.
Yes. Perfect point, Marcus.
Yeah.
Perfect point. They are good at competing with themselves. They set their own bar, and then they then they jump over that.
Yeah, we've seen Apple do that. I mean, they have competition, but we've seen Apple when they've had the best product in the market on a particular item, and nobody else even challenged them. They'll still come out with an even better one the next year. So that like they cannibalize themselves a couple times. Like iPods to iPhones. So yeah, it's definitely possible. I'm not saying DJI is going to rest on laurels at all. I'm saying it's a good possibility at Air 3S. But really, guys. We've seen some pushback in the community with the quick releases. How often do you want to see your drones updated? Do you want a yearly update pattern on all your drones? I mean, what do you feel is a good for instance, like I'll go back to Apple. The iPhone comes out, every year in September, but none of their other products are on a cycle, whatever. They just come out kind of when the older products are kind of getting a little slower or older. But what do you think DJI's release schedule should be in a perfect world?
I want a new drone once a month.
Update it once a month. Yeah. You can't. Yeah, used to be you couldn't even get your new drone shipped in a month, let alone.
Yeah.
They have gotten so good with themselves sometimes, and I'm going to throw this out here too. Sometimes they're their own worst enemy because they set the bar so high with a product, okay? And then it's like, oh, oops, we got to try to exceed that. So it's going to take a little bit longer to do that.
Case in point, Bill, I'll make your point for you. The DJI Air 2S, how great is that drone? And if you're flying that drone right now, this thing will do a lot more stuff, more features, and better OA and all that. But would I be happy flying an Air 2S? I sure would.
And Marcus and I we've had this in private discussion too. The Air 3 is kind of like almost closer in size to the Mavic than it is the Air 2S, whatever. It's almost like the Air 3 is a different line of drone than the Air 2S.
Well, that's a great point, Ron. And in fact, I was noticing that the other day. And Ron, you know this. One of the things that I really liked about the Air 2S was the compact size. It was bigger than a mini drone, but it was a compact size.
Remember, I could fit it in the same bag that the Mini 2 came in.
Right. Easy to take with you, easy to, and this guy, like you said, This is, I don't know the measurements, but I'll bet you it's every bit as big as the Mavic 2 was. It's not
Yeah,
quite
I
as
think
big
you're
as the
right.
Mavic 3, but I bet it's every bit as big as the Mavic 2.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so we've kind of got the Air 3 is almost a little bit different class of drone than the Air 1, Air 2, and Air 2S were. They were in a different size ballpark than the Air
Yeah,
3.
There's
yeah,
no
And
question.
I
you're
think some
right.
people like that smaller form factor better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's
Yeah.
more portable, like if you're traveling, that would make it easier for you to take that drone. And that I think was a nice appeal about the Air 2S because it wasn't as big as a Mavic 3 and it wasn't as small as a Mini. So you felt like you had something with a little bit more weight and a form factor, especially like for now, for example, when we're going up in December, it's a no brainer. I'm taking my Air 3 with me. I'm not taking the Mini 4 because I want something with a little bit more beefiness to it and stability in the wind and that type of thing. And that's why I think people, part of the appeal of the Air 2S was that, and it was in a smaller form factor, but yet it was more stable than taking a mini drone up.
Yeah, definitely. And don't get me wrong, folks in the chat. I'm not down the Air 3 at all. The Air 3, it's bigger and it's more capable than the Air 2S in almost every way, as far as its flight speed, of course, the descent speed, and things like that. It's it's not only a bigger drone, but it's a beefier drone as far as performance.
Absolutely.
Would you agree, Marcus?
Say again.
You're muted. You were muted for a second.
No, you're good, Marcus.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're good.
I don't know what happened there. Okay.
No, it makes perfect sense here. All right. When you really think about it, that the cycle that DJI is on, and that's one thing I want to say. It's changed. It's evolved over the years. And I think it's changed now to the point that, as we just alluded to earlier, that, their competition is not Autel. It's not Skydio anymore. It's themselves. Okay. And that's where I think if there's any kind of a bog down or breakdown in the system, it's going to be, they're going to have to try to one up themselves with their next issue, with whatever they're going to release and the timing of that. All right. Now, I think, one of the other things that we really haven't seen come into play, but I do want to mention it, especially like knowing from my ham radio side of the house, is part shortages. Okay. Because it's still affecting the ham radio world. And there's still a lot of popular radios that are slow to come back because of the fact that there are some part shortages, some key critical part shortages. But it doesn't seem that this is really affecting DJI because, they've come out with a Pocket 3 lately, the Mini 4 Pro, the Air 3. They really skipped a beat. There really hasn't been a problem, and you really haven't heard anything mentioned about part shortages or anything along those lines.
Yeah,
I mean, except for a while, until the Pocket 3 broke the streak of them using the same sensor in a bunch of drones in a row. Like it seemed like the Mini 3 Pro, the Mini 4 Pro, the Air 3, all got the same. I'm taking stacked out of the equation. Got the same sensor size, whatever. So they went with the same sensor for a long time until they said they broke the. I think that made the sensors in the Action 4. So I mean, it was used in a lot of devices over the past, say, 2 years, and now they kind of broke that streak with the Pocket 3, the one it's censored. Bill, will the next all Air 3S common side, will the next drone from DJI, will we see them return to the one in sensor on a drone now that they've kind of broke this? Because a lot of people were disappointed. A lot of people would have loved to see the new camera on the DJI Mavic 3 Pro. They would have loved to see that be a one in sensor on that. What do you 3x zoom or whatever?
The 3x zoom, yeah.
Well, that would have really made it pro.
Okay, I'm going to throw a real wrench into the works here. Okay, what about a Mini 4 Pro with a 1-inch sensor and a brand new DJI RC Pro? Okay.
RC Pro controller, you mean?
Yeah, with an RC Pro controller. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Man,
know,
they're getting a lot of my money already, Bill. I'm starting to get mad.
Now,
market's just
what,
making
what,
out
hey,
it's crazy.
when will that Mini 4, when will that Mini, Mini 4 Pro, whatever you call it, but the one that says, when will that be out, Bill? April?
Yeah, you know,
May?
if something like that were to happen, I would say it would be late first quarter, early second quarter. Don't be surprised. And the reason that I say that, you know, of course, we're all just spitballing and purely speculating here. But the reason that I say that is look at how many iterations they've come out with the Mavic 3. Okay. The Classic, the Pro, the Cine, you know, of course, they have the Enterprise, but I'm not even talking about that.
Right.
You know, in all three of them, you know, for consumers, it's been an exceptional drone. All right. But they've shown, you know, that they were coming out with these just like as fast as they possibly can. You know, it's like, let's put more pancake mix together and get some more on the griddle here, kind of a thing. I mean, it was coming out pretty fast. If I were to speculate right now, because the Air 3 is selling so well, I think that's going to take a little bit of a back seat. I think we'll see a Mavic 4 Pro, and I think you'll see that stacked 1-inch sensor on that. Okay, and it's going to revolutionize consumer drones. This is just me talking, but I have a strong feeling because of the cycle. I'm just basing it upon what they've done with the Mavic 3 this year. Okay, and over the past year and a half. I mean, they've come out fast and furious with some things. So don't be surprised. That's the next drone that we see. That's just, I'm spitballing here, but still.
Well, that's possible. I'll tell you, one of the things about that, you know, you were talking about the RC Pro and the top of the line Mavic. One of the things that always strikes me when I get out my Mavic 3 Pro is, of course, I'm flying it with the RC Pro, and how much more substantial that RC Pro is in your hand. And I realize it's not much brighter, but you definitely see the brighter screen. And it's ergonomically and everything. It's just so comfortable to use. I love using that controller. And then you put it in combination with that Mavic 3 or Mavic 3 Pro. Man, that's a tough combo to beat, man.
Competition, yeah.
It really is.
The work cut out for them.
You know, I don't know if they'll ever get me to buy another RC Pro again, because I'm very happy with the DJI RC 2, and I like the fact that I don't feel like I need a neck strap like I do when I'm flying the RC Pro. I feel like I need a neck strap, even though I agree it feels better in the hands, but that's kind of defeated by the weight and the need for a neck strap where I can kind of just one hand it with the RC2 or whatever. So and the price difference, if the RC Pro was maybe a little bit more or even twice as much, but being as it's like 3 or 4 times as much, it's a tough pill to swallow when the RC2 is so good.
Those are all great points.
Question of the day: what did you think about what can we expect next from DJI? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, it's a great day to fly.